Low quality fans of a high quality Bruins team, that is a dub! Yeah! We got a dub in a hockey game, a real hockey game with a dub. Nice! Today was the first game of the Buffalo Prospect Challenge, in which we took a bunch of guys who, outside of a couple of them, probably won't be seen in the NHL, and we played a bunch of their guys who, probably except for a couple of them, won't really be seen in the NHL anytime soon. So I want to break this game down. I'm not going to do the usual play-by-play kind of stuff that I've done in the past, because I'm going to be honest, this broadcast was a little rough. Most of the first period was trying to figure out who was who and writing down their numbers so I could remember who I'm looking at. It was a one-angle, follow-the-game kind of shot. I am not critiquing it at all, because at least I got to watch it. I want to thank Buffalo's team for streaming it, because the Bruins couldn't fucking be bothered. And tomorrow, I want to thank the Devils team for streaming it, because the Bruins can't be fucking bothered. I'm a little annoyed about that. That being said, I am a little critical of the lack of effort Buffalo put into this broadcast, and the lack of effort the broadcasters put in. I don't care about the one angle of the game, and I don't care about how everything was done in a kind of amateur way, because that's probably a really fun thing. Hey, it's a prospect challenge. Let's get some new guys up that can just try their hand at this stuff. The broadcasters didn't really talk about the game while it was happening. They were very lackadaisical when it came to the play-by-play, and they could not name a Bruins player to save their life. Now, they did, variously, but they just couldn't. They wouldn't, which is incredibly difficult as a Bruins fan, and I know it's a Buffalo broadcast, but I'm trying to figure out who these players are, and I've got the roster in front of me, but none of the numbers, except for, like, Lauko I knew was 94, but I don't have the numbers. So throughout, whenever there's a pause, because the broadcast is kind of grainy and it's distant, once in a while they would zoom in, and I'd be able to, like, jot down a few numbers with names real quick, because I could see their name, but I think we figured it out. Here is the roster. Guys, this was a lot of fun. I really shouldn't complain. At least they did a stream. Before we get into it, Chara signed with the Islanders. Yes, it happened. Don't worry about it. He started his career with the Islanders. We don't want him on our team right now. I don't personally, and that's fine. I have nothing against Chara. I just think he is not very good at the moment. His foot speed is too slow. Love the leadership qualities he has, but I'm not concerned with that signing at all. Good for Chara. If he wants to keep playing, I hope teams keep signing him. Love the guy. Let's talk about this game. We won the game 5-2, because of course we did. Beating Buffalo is like, I don't know, just what we do. I'm worried about tomorrow's game, because beating the Devils is not what we do, if you watched any of last season. 5 goals did include an empty net goal. That was Liesel's only goal of the game. I know a lot of you who actually did watch it were watching for him. He did look good. We'll get into that. 2 of them went Froden's way, which is very nice. Jasper Froden is a 26-year-old competing against a bunch of people who are 22 and under, but still, it was nice to see him get a couple. Asselin does get a high tip, which was a beauty to take the lead 2-1 in the second period. That lead would not remain, but to take the lead back, Brett Harrison, a draft pick from this most recent draft, got a kind of nice patient goal, collected a rebound in front of the net, waited the goalie out, and then went 5-hole. It was a nice collection all around for the boys. It was a very undisciplined affair. There were a lot of penalties, especially in the first period. They kind of stopped calling the penalties. They didn't stop happening. I think they just kind of were like, this game has to end at some point. So the refs kind of swallowed the whistles. But let's talk about it line by line. And now these lines did get shifted slightly. I'm going off of what the roster had to start the game, and they played the most time with these guys. First line, of course, was Lauko, Asselin, and Liesel. Liesel being the youngest one, just jumping up from the most recent draft. Asselin, he's just been around for a little while. And then Lauko, of course, potentially pushing for an NHL job this year. Lauko, fast as fuck, boy. Fast as fuck, boy. But it kind of seems like he needs to get involved in the play because of another player. It doesn't seem like he's the guy who is driving the play, but he is the one who can take the play to the next level with his speed. He's a bit of a dog when he thinks he has a chance to score. Other than that, I didn't see a lot of him using that speed to his advantage. Liesel, on the other end, completely outmuscled, and he knows it, but he didn't shy away from contact and can keep up with Lauko very quick. Pretty high IQ too. I thought his puck handling and his vision of the ice were pretty solid. Again, bullied physically, which is to be expected. I don't even think he's over 185 yet. I gotta double check that. But luckily, they had Asselin in the middle, who was really, really nice distributing the puck between. He knew that he couldn't keep up with the other two at a consistent pace, but he knew where to send the puck and when to send it. I really liked what they were bringing. That was a fun line to watch. Providence, if those three guys are with you this year, Liesel, probably the odd guy out there because, again, maybe doesn't have the size yet. If that is in Providence, that's a really fun power play, those three guys. They'll probably not be on a line together, though. They were my favorite line to watch. All three of them should make it to the Bruins roster within the next 3 years, which will be really cool. The second line was Trollmax, Steen, and Froden. Froden, the 2 goals, again, 26 years old. He's a bigger prospect, an older prospect. Fine. He's fine. There's not a lot to say about him. I don't know if he ever actually cracks an NHL roster full-time. Again, when you're 26 and you're playing in a prospect challenge and you're not even a defenseman or a goalie, your odds aren't great. But he had a really good showing. Steen might have had the best, probably had the best game, for me at least, out of anybody. Except for Kaiser, but we'll get to him. Steen was an absolute dog. Everyone was getting pissed at him the entire time. He did not give up on a single play. And he did ring the crossbar, which, you just love to see. Didn't score, but he'll hit the fucking post. Oscar Steen, we've talked about making the 4th line this year. He is a grit monster. He will not give up on anything. And they kept talking about him as if he was agitating everyone, where it really kind of looked to me like he just wouldn't give up on a play, which is also really fucking agitating. Love to see what he was bringing. I expect to see him on the 4th line real early this season. Trollmax, I don't actually have a lot on. He's a big body. He throws his weight around. He doesn't really have any skills that pop out to me. There's nothing that he did really well. Had a decent game, was mixing it up no matter where he was. Not a lot to say about him, though. 3rd line, Philippe, Harrison, Voyer. Now, Harrison, again, recent draft pick. But the best one of the 3 was probably Philippe, who was flying around the ice and was just a little gnat. Again, there's no actual skill that Philippe showed that I went, wow, this guy's really good at this. But he was, again, just that guy showing grit and who would not give up on anything. Did bumble the puck a couple times, made a couple weird decisions, but this is 3rd line. We're starting to get down in the prospects. You're going to see that with all of them. Harrison has a lot of filling out to do. He needs to have a lot of growth. He needs to grow up in a lot of ways he's playing too. Slow reactions, throwing the puck into the actual skates of a player rather than space in front of them. He needs to catch up to the speed of the game. Voyer, he was another guy who didn't really have anything that I went, wow, look at the skill. You don't want to get in the corner with this guy. He was abusive. He benefited hugely from them stopping calling penalties. The slashing, I think he's a biter, man. Fun to watch, though. Pedro, Hall, and Hudson. Very little to say about these guys. Pedro couldn't seem to keep the puck on his stick. Curtis Hall, always looking to the net, but didn't have a lot to work with around him. And it seemed like every time he made a good play or a dogged play and took the puck from somebody, there was no one there to back him up. Hudson, invisible. Invisible. Here's where things get kind of disappointing. So that was 3rd and 4th line. There wasn't a ton of good stuff to say about them. But we're talking defenders. Wolf and Mast actually ran our number 1 pair. Now, Wolf has been in the system a little while. Mast actually just drafted. Ryan Mast. Big dude. Great name. Wolf and Mast are both big guys. 200 plus, 6'3 plus. Big dudes. That's all they had. They're pretty reliable defensively, but they didn't actually do a lot of playing hockey. They just kind of got in the way of people. Didn't really see anything that impressed me. Now, the second pairing was actually way more interesting. Ashawn, who I have said will probably push for a spot this year, trying to get, right now I think he's 8th or 9th on the depth chart, but he's trying to push by some of these guys. Lyle. We've heard a lot about Brady Lyle and what he can do and how he's a pretty big body, but he skates pretty smoothly, not very fast, but he can get the puck through offensively. He makes a nice first pass. The first period, bad. Ashawn did have one play where he led a charge that was a fast break that led to a goal very early in the game on a power play. He also had 4 turnovers that were just because he was trying to force a play and threw it right into somebody's stick. He needed to settle. Lyle, kind of invisible in the first. Just didn't, the puck was on his stick, it was off his stick, which is fine in certain scenarios, but eventually you got to make a play. Second period comes around, Ashawn changes into an absolute beast. He is a threat. When he is feeling good and he's moving around the offensive zone, he's an absolute threat. He sees the entire ice so well. He's going to find space to open up a shot for you. I really liked everything he was doing. He's not afraid to take the shot himself either. Really, really nice skill that this guy has. Lyle never woke up. I never saw anything from him that I went, wow, nice little showcase for you. Now, I don't want to overreact on Lyle because these games don't mean that much. There's guys who will have bad prospect challenges and then look really good in camp. And they will make the team in a year or two and be very good. McAvoy was the most glaring, hey, you looked really bad at the prospect challenge, and then you looked really, really good in the NHL the whole next year. Now, that's really rare for a guy to go from prospect challenge to NHL roster and have a full-time position. Probably won't see that with any of these guys. But some of these guys will take some time in the NHL, which is really exciting. Third pairing is Greenway and Pesky. Greenway ended up only playing 2 periods. Arm was in a sling after the second. Really not a lot to say about him for those 2 periods. He was kind of sloppy with the puck. He was invisible in the offensive zone. He made poor decisions and jumped into space at times, and he overcommitted. It was a lot of weird, I think it was jitters, honestly. He just made kind of the wrong decision whenever he had to make a decision. Not great. Pesky on the other side, also not great, but did make a few really big defensive plays. There was a highlight in the third period where he broke up a 2-on-1 with his stick work. He does jump into a play too often defensively. And what I mean by that is they are carrying the puck out of their zone, them being Buffalo. They have possession of the puck. As a defenseman, you can't jump because then you're leaving 160 feet behind you for them to work with. And he would do that a little too often, but I mean, it worked a few times. It's going to give up a lot of goals in the NHL, though, if he tries that. Lastly, the guy I was really, really excited about watching, Kaiser, unbelievable. He allowed 2 goals, one of which right off the bat on a power play. I believe it was Wolf who lost a battle in front of the net. No chance. No chance on that one. Second one was an absolute snipe from the high slot. Just, there's a lot of credit to the shooter on that. Kaiser followed the puck really well. He made the big saves, but something that really stuck out to me is his speed. Now, he's like Vladar, where he does overcommit at times, and he gets out of the net too much. But he has the speed to make up for it, unlike Vladar. He's athletic, and he still understands where the play is going. He can follow the play, but when he decides it's a shot, he tackles it. That's going to bite him in the ass at times. He's still developing. I could really see him being a solid backup, better than Vladar will ever be. I think Kaiser's ceiling is much higher than Vladar's. Little side notes, we did not have a captain for this game. We had 3 assistant captains. They gave the A to Ashawn, Aslan, and Steen, all of which very much deserve it. Tomorrow, you should expect to see Brodeur in net, not Kaiser. The Devils, like I said, on their homepage on NHL.com/New Jersey Devils, should be streaming that game. I believe it's at 1 p.m. I know football's on. I know the Patriots are on. I have to watch this game over the Patriots, and I'm very sad about that. But it also means if you decide to watch the Patriots, I'm going to kind of tell you how the game went. So there you go. It works. All right, guys, that was a quick little thoughts on the Prospect Challenge Game 1. I'm going to release a video tomorrow going over Game 2. I just want to keep you guys up to date with what is happening. I know it's been a little while since I've done a video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Short Shift Pod just launched today as well. I'll link that below. I feel like I'm just going to continue having more and more stuff that I have to plug, and that's the most annoying thing in the world. So I'm going to try to spread it out. Spread it out a little bit. Still working on the Twitch channel stuff. Just turns out my internet hates me a lot, and it likes to go whenever things are happening. So I'm going to work on that too. Go Bees!